out my window. So many sights to see. And when I look in my window, baby, so many different people to be, that it's strange, so strange, yeah. You got to pick up every step. You got to pick up every step. You got to pick up every stitch. Oh, love must be the season of the wind. Must be the season of the wind. Must be the season of the wind. Take it, James. Look over my shoulder. What do you think I see? Some old cat looking over his shoulder at me. And he's strange, sure is strange. You've got to pick up every step. You got to pick up every step. Our beatniks are out to make it rich. Oh, love must be the season of the wind. Must be the season of the wind. Must be the season of the wind. You got to pick up every step. You got to pick up every step, mama. Beatniks are out to make it right.
Welcome to Slow Talk Live. I'm your host, James Davis, and we're here at Top Dog Coffee Bar in beautiful Morro Bay, California. We're actually out in the back of Top Dog Coffee Bar at Mad Max's Beer Garden. And my co-host today with me today is Steven Schubin. Steven, how you doing, man?
Hey, what a great day we're going to have. Isn't this going to be a fantastic show?
It's beautiful. You know, coming up today, I'm really excited. We have Louis Ortega and his daughter, Talia Ortega, both musicians, artists in their own right. And they're going to be singing some music, also talking with us a little bit today.
That's really great. Talia's picking up the baton. We've had graced us with some great music from Louis Ortega for about I don't know. We've been about 50 years. I hate to date you, but yeah, we've been pretty lucky to hear your music.
Well, Louis started about the same times, a little after the Stones did. Puts it into perspective.
But this is going to be great. A father and daughter music duo here, and we're going to be pretty excited about that.
You know what? Right after we and Talia the next hour at 4 o'clock for the folks that are tuning in to watch the stream today, we're also going to have let me make sure I get the name right, Dr. Leola, Dublin, Mcmillan is going to join Mark Shafer and myself and talked about Unified Diversity, a new program they're developing. That'll be from 4 to 5. But you know, I thank a bunch of folks today for making this happen. Steve, who are we thanking, man?
First of all, we got Top Dog Coffee, and you know they're giving us this wonderful garden for us to do this every couple of weeks. Patrick Beets and Susan, they're just the great people in the world to actually sponsor this.
What's his website? What's his website?
Okay, well, we got Top Dog. I always got to say this right. TopDogCoffee.com, or we got Rescue Me Coffee, which is rescue-me-coffee.com. You know, we got to get that right. I don't always say those emails right. But we've got a music school, SNKmusic.com, which is in SLO for music. They're one of our sponsors as well.
Absolutely. We want to thank them.
Shout out to
Yeah. And then in addition to those sponsors, we also want to thank Big Sky Cafe. Check out Sky Cafe in San Luis Obispo, located downtown, line Sky Cafe, bigskycafeslow.com.
Good food and good drinks.
Oh, good place.
Oh,
nice outside dining. Food now during.
They're one of my.
That's a great restaurant. We also thank the folks that helped put together this stream. Tom Brown Studios, the whole crew there, James Garrido Music, Soren Richenberg, and Stephen Shubin from Tiki to Life. So grateful for all these sponsors and all the support and all the work that.
Make sure to throw that tiki part in there. There's not much tiki business that goes on in the Central Coast, so big shout out to anybody who wants to know anything about tiki stuff. You got to get in contact with me.
Yeah. Stephen, we so much appreciate you helping out, making this happen, man. The scenes.
It's a lot of fun, James, isn't
it?
Yeah. Great people to work with. We've got a great crew and good people to interview, have conversations with. I mean, can we go wrong with that?
Hey, it's open air, 70 degrees, beautiful Morro Bay, right here at Top Dog Coffee. You know what? I want to do an extra shout out today. I actually want to show this bag of coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. This is great stuff. Yes. And we're going to have Patrick on sometime talking a little bit about the roasting that goes on. But he's developed a coffee company called Rescue Me Coffee, and they actually take 20% of the monthly subscription for the coffee and donate it to some local, SLO-based nonprofits that help provide rescue dogs for veterans and people of need in our community. So get a subscription, check them out, rescue-coffee.com. Check them out.
Right on. That's good stuff. No, I think Patrick might be part dog in a good way, because I see those dogs that come around and they see him. They remember the treats that he throws at them.
Oh, yeah.
I've been witnessing dogs that are walking down the street with their owners, and they're having to drag them away from this place.
Oh, it's a cool place.
I get time.
Yeah. But the but the humans have to buy ours.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, a dog's life. Well, you know what? I'm really excited. I've had the opportunity, the pleasure to know Louis for some time, and of course Talia, and want to bring them up in just a few minutes. They're actually working on a collaborative project, and we're going to be playing some of the songs they recorded. But without any further ado, really am grateful to welcome to the stage here at Top Dog Coffee Bar, Louis Ortega and Talia Ortega. Yeah.
Thank you. It's great to be on stage here at Top Dog Coffee, and we'd like to do songs maybe in the beginning, but missing live music, and we have to, so we can't wait till everything turns around for us and we can come out and all celebrate together at a point in time soon. We're going to start with one of our favorite songs. That's by the Buena Vista Social Club.
That's
What's
right.
the title, honey?
El Cuarto de Tula.
Oh, yeah.
Tula's Room. En el barrio La Chimba formado la se ha formado la corredera. Allá fueron los bomberos con sus campanas y sus sirenas. Allá fueron los bomberos con sus campanas, sus sirenas. Ay, mamá, ¿qué pasó? Ay, mamá, ¿qué pasó? El cuarto de Tula se cogió candela, se quedó dormida y no apagó. En el barrio La Cachimba se ha formado la corredera. En el barrio La Cachimba se ha formado la corredera. Allá fueron los bomberos con sus campanas, sus sirenas. Allá fueron los bomberos con sus campanas, sus sirenas. Ay, mamá, ¿qué pasó? Ay, mamá, ¿qué pasó? El cuarto de Tula se cogió candela, se quedó dormida y apagó la vela. El cuarto de Tula se cogió candela, se quedó dormida y no apagó la vela.
Yeah.
That was mucho fun, as they say.
That is what they say. That's the technical term.
Yes. For our second number here for the Top Dog Cafe, a song that I wrote years ago and it came true in Queens here. This is called King City. I'd always made a trip from my parents lived in Santa Maria and I was raised in Salinas Valley and we had cousins in King City. Maybe years, like, I don't know, 15 years. One day, oh my goodness, I pulled off the side of the road. That's before iPhones. To write on a paper bag.
The good old days.
Yeah, here we go. I just couldn't believe it. It's kind of like a lightning bolt, yeah. But here it is. It's called King City. This will also be on our new CD that Talia and I are coming this year. It's called San Simeon Nights. There's a woman that lives on the other side of the valley. She's good with horses, and her mane is long. Spend some special time in Arroyo Seco, swimming in the river, sitting by the fire. I'd sing her songs. It was first like feel the California pies. Never ever seen her look so pretty. I twirled slowly like a ballerina, and I made her smile when I called her the Queen of King City. Just outside San Batista, there's mountains filled with their caves and their mystery. We used to joke if we ever found Joaquin's buried treasure, I'd be the king of the Queen of King City. We used to ring the bell on the El Camino Real, run the roads, roam wild and free, and just out past the San Antonio Mission, I carved her name in an old oak tree. Our love was deep, like the Salinas River. Her spirit landed Carmel by the sea. She said she liked that it was cooler there in the summers. Queen of King City. Thank you.
Thanks. Peanut gallery back here.
No, we're supposed to go
I think
through
we
it.
have one more.
I think we're going to do one more song here with Louis Ortega and Talia Ortega.
Yeah, and I think
And
I'd like to,
let's give, yeah, and then we'll bring them on to talk a little bit.
There we go. Well, I'll talk a little bit now. This is this is a song by David Gray, actually, and I heard it from David Plum, who's a local treasure. He was playing at the Cambria Pines Lodge, and the way he song, I completely fell in love with it and had to find out for my own what it felt like to sing. So the lyrics really spoke to me, and I hope you enjoy it as well. This is Babylon. Well, Friday night I'm going. The lights are changing from green to red, and turning over TV stations, situations running through my head. But you know, looking back through time, it's clear that I'm blind, and I've been a fool to open up my heart to all that jealousy, that bitterness, and that pure. Well, Saturday I'm running wild. All the lights are changing from to green, and sifting through the crowds I'm pushing. Chemicals are rushing in my bloodstream. I only wish that you were here. I'm seeing it so clear. I've been afraid how I feel to some of those bad mistakes I've made. So if you want it, yeah, crying out loud, this love that I was giving you was never in doubt. Let go of your heart, let go of your head, and feel it now. Let go of your heart, let go of your head. Babylon. Now Tuesday, all the more red, blue, and kicking through those winter leaves, wondering where it is I'm going to. Oh, turning back for home, I'm feeling so alone that I cannot believe. But standing on the stair, I turn around to see you smiling there in front of me. And so, if you want it, come and get it, for crying out loud, crying out loud. The stuff that I was giving never down. Let go of your heart, let go of your head, feel it now. Let go of your heart, let go of your head, feel it now. Babylon, 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 oh, Babylon. Babylon, shut up and up, shut up and shake it down. Shut up and up, shut it down, Thank you. Mr. Lord. Thanks.
What a treat to bring Louis Ortega and Miss Ortega into the garden. Thank you guys very much. Going to be here at the table in a few minutes, but now we've got queued up a really special treat. Louis and Talia went into the studio recently, and they got together some music. They've got an original song that they wrote on, Louis performs on. This is actually the premiere preview for a brand new song that's going to be released soon on that record coming up, and I think it's called San Simeon, if I'm not mistaken. So this song is called Ruby by Miss Talia Ortega, performed by Talia and Louis Ortega. Co-written. I'm going to get this right, you guys. All right. Co-written by Louis Ortega and Talia Ortega and performed by both. Out first time, Ruby, here on Talk Live.
Ruby, you're always so happy. Your joy just lights up the room. Ruby, Ruby, sometimes your head's in the clouds, but it makes it easy to pick you out of the crowd. You always seem to have company, but Ruby, will there be time for me? Oh, Ruby, Ruby, darling, I like your sisters, but to this very day they still call me Mr. Ruby, Ruby, talk to me a while. I know I've got the best shot at making you smile. Pressing my lips to yours, would my feet come off the floor? I want to find out for sure.
got a question on my mind, I better ask it. Ask it. Your love's my fascination. I hope it's a consideration when you're deciding what's best for you. Ruby, Ruby, please give me a chance. I'll always love you. I'll even learn how to dance. Ruby, Ruby, I just need a minute with you to tell you how I feel. Please don't fly the coop. We've been friends forever, and you know that it's true. Ruby, I hope you feel this too. Oh yeah, Ruby, please feel it too. Oh Ruby, I love you.
We're back here at Slow Talk Live. I'm your host, James Davis, and it's really, really good to be here this afternoon at Mad Max Beer Garden, located at Top Dog Coffee, Morro Bay, California. Check them out online, topdogcoffeebar.com, or Rescue Coffee Company with dashes in between. But I've got the joy and the pleasure of having right here in the garden, Talia Ortega, Louie Ortega. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you. The joy is ours.
Yeah, thank you,
Absolutely.
Jim.
This has really been good for you guys to come out, travel up here to Morro Bay, not too far away from where you live, right?
No, it's within our stomping grounds.
I love that. I love that. You guys, this is a pleasure to see each of you, but together is just a real treat. And so, Tag, some know Talia. Maybe they don't know Louie and Talia as a team. Where did you come up with this? Not fire, but the plan to start putting some songs together and make a record. How long has that been in the works?
Well, it's been in the works ever since she was
Boy.
very musical and still is very musical, and was needing to practice a harmony vocal to a song Tornadoes were doing. After we were, car seat, and we were just tripping Avila and stuff like that, going back
You're
home.
talking way back, car seat. You're talking way back when.
Yeah. She was pretty young, and all of a sudden she started singing the song. I mean, she just memorized. I mean, she got it, One of the turning points was when we had did a trip up to Cambria Pines. I was performing up there, and asked her, I said, well, if I do this song, you want to come up and sing it with me? And she goes, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's only about 4 or 5, and I said, okay. And so I figured, well, we'll see if she does or not. I didn't want to, really push so hard. Came up, I did parts, and I told her to take a bow. She got a standing ovation, and
This
she
is
was
my
hooked
big
ever since.
debut.
At Cambria Pines Lodge,
Yeah.
which is a place for a long time, Louie. Every Tuesday night you were playing there, right?
Yeah, I had like a residency gig up there for quite a while.
Yeah, and you would call it Louie, but it was
Oh yeah, I would as a solo, but I would have various friends and people that wanted to come and play with me. Once I knew they could play, that I would invite them up, and we would just have a good time.
That was the funnest series up there at Cambria Pines Lodge. Really appreciate that place. They're embracing local music, and so that first really up to the microphone gig.
True. And then I would kind of frequent the other gigs at Cambria throughout my life, and it sort of became, my first and, to be honest, my favorite stage. If
Oh, that's
I'm going
great.
to be perfectly true.
And I remember a whole lot of friends, your dads being on that stage. Dave Woods came night.
Oh,
Yes.
thinking about you, Dave.
Yeah, we've actually got a little video of that night, and we're going to show that sometime on Slow Talk.
Wow.
We've got a
Awesome.
video of Dave and you, little clip that you Yeah, now, you've taken some formal training. You graduated from Cal Poly. As far as formal training with the flute or voice lessons, which came first, the voice or the flute?
I've never taken voice lessons, really. I had a brief stint with Inga Swearingen, and I'm actually currently studying with P. Maddox. But my vocal training was really from this guy right here, listening and trying to emulate. But yes, I did get a degree in classical flute performance. It was very interesting having done mostly jazz at Cuesta to go somewhere, do something different, but on the same medium. And I'm very grateful for that experience, and I look forward to the next one.
And that's the program at Cal Poly.
It is.
And so you had a really interesting student recital. Most of the times they're attended live because of shelter in place had to be different. What was that like, Talia?
It was quite the adventure logistically, but I am so grateful to Mount Carmel Lutheran Church. I've been singing there for about 10 years or so, and they were able to accommodate myself and a small audience of under 10 people. So I had my parents there to listen to my degree recital, and that was the best bow on top of a big package of education I asked for.
Was that also streaming? Was that also streaming?
No, a video is in the works, and I will be happy to share it with you when it comes out.
I saw a few shots on Facebook, a few shots of that event, but you're actually going to have a video coming at student recital.
Correct, yeah.
And so, Talia, this record with your dad, what's the release date? What's the intended release date? What are you guys looking at?
We're in the process right now of finishing our mixes, and actually Friday will be our day back, and then we're going to wait a couple of days, and then we're going to master. And so, and we're doing it up at Cambria at Painted Sky Studios with Steve Krimmel.
Oh, yeah.
The engineer.
Steve does great work.
He does. And then we're going to get, we've got some of the artwork in process, and then we changed the title recently to San Nights.
Now, why San Simeon Nights? Is that where some of the songs were written at, or?
No, actually, we the players that we used on the CD were Greg Smith on baritone sax, who was horn section.
Love Greg.
We played together.
Yeah.
And Dean Giles on percussion and drums. And then we brought in our bassist.
Ken Hustad.
Oh, yeah.
Hustad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we normally do events for the Hearst people over called ourselves the Bunkhouse Band.
Yeah.
And so we decided, Steve Hearst was talking about, you guys should do a record. So we started to do a record. And then we thought, we'll just do a lot of the songs and some original stuff that we did up there. So it's actually, really and probably has that feel and of being by a big bonfire and up at that San Simeon property, So we just decided to call San Simeon Nights.
And we're all looking for that bonfire experience. So maybe this record will help us during this time of shelter in place, because connecting live music, maybe that'll be the thing that we need. So around the corner, that record's coming out.
It's true.
Really?
Yeah, we're hoping for, probably, definitely a Christmas release, but it'll probably be sooner than that.
So that song that we just played, we're going to do country next one?
Oh,
County Line.
County Line.
We're going to play County Line in a little bit, but the one we just played, Ruby, you actually wrote that together. How did that happen, and where did that happen at?
So, actually about a chicken, and if you listen closely, there are a few chicken puns in the lyrics. But we had 3 chickens at the time.
No exaggeration.
Ha ha ha. But we had 3 chickens, one of them named Ruby, and we came up with this story about a boy who's interested in a girl named Ruby, but her sisters are just always around all the time, just chatting and cackling, and he can never get as lyrics are from the girl named Ruby.
Those 2 sisters that are like, so one gets a suitor, and it's his.
Yeah.
Ruby.
That's right. We sat on the couch, sort of. We're like, okay, this is a great idea for lyrics. Sort of the concept, and I think it was the concept and the chord changes came first.
Yeah, we decided, you know, there was a section that and I thought, well, let's put it to maybe this kind of swing beat, and then it just took off from there. And the verses, it all really came quickly. So after that, we wrote I think at least one or two more. We did one or two more co-writes, and we're wanting to write more together because it just.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the result, of course, is Ruby, Country Line. Is there another song that you both co-wrote that's going to be on the record?
Yes, Mi Perro, which is also about an animal, funnily enough. It's about a dog. And but he's my friend, and he might bite you if he doesn't like you.
Yeah, and that song is all in Spanish. So we do a duet.
You took the bite away. People don't know what you're talking about.
I know, it's all bark at this point.
Actually, we should have played. We should have played it here at Top Dog, but we just didn't think about it.
Are you prepared? Maybe when we get back to play that today?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Know,
Next
because,
time.
Yeah, because we just
Not set
we're
up
so
for it.
quick, and we just.
Album. People have
So in a few minutes, we're going to bring you back up for maybe one or two closing songs. You got something you're working on here for to kind of with in a little bit?
Well, actually, we want to save a lot of the new stuff for later, but I'm going to do a title track off one of my CDs that's called In My Heart.
Nice.
And Talia will close up with, what are we going to do, the classic?
Yeah, this is a song that pretty much everybody knows, House of the Rising Sun.
Oh, yes.
But we do it our way, and we may be biased, but we think it's very special.
Now, I've never heard your version. I'm looking forward to this. This will be a real treat. So this record, Simeon Night, will be available on louisortega.com.
It will be.
And then we're working on talyortega.com right now.
Yes, where you can find help and instruction in various types of dance, flute, saxophone, voice, music theory, and its practical application. So be ready, world.
Well, maybe some tips on raising a cat, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, chickens, dogs, cats, we've got it all.
So at this point, if we're ready, I'd like to cue up Country Line and then work on bringing you guys back up live.
Okay. Yes.
County Line, thank you so much.
No worries.
You guys, I really appreciate you as friends and artists and what you bring to our community in so many levels. A lot of support that you bring, and right now it means so much. The folks listening at home, thank you so much for being our guest today.
We adore you, James. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
we love you guys.
Love you back, man. We're glad to be here.
Thank you.
It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm inching closer to the county line. If the tires hold out, I'll be seeing you before daylight. I got 4 beers left in the cooler, a death grip on the wheel, if you know what I mean. I got a cramp in my leg, my right hand smells of gasoline. You can't beat these warm summer nights. I'm just watching the road unwind. I've got both windows rolled down, baby, not a cop inside. Baby, I'll be seeing you before daylight. You bet I'll be breaking some records tonight. If I could, I'd be traveling at the speed of light. I got the pedal pressed down to the floor, so I know it's as fast as it goes. And if something don't blow, I'll be seeing you before daylight. There's not a doubt in my mind. As I inch a little closer to the county line, nothing's gonna keep me from seeing you before daylight. I'll be seeing you before daylight. You bet I'll be breaking some records tonight if I could. I'd be traveling at the speed of light. I've got the pedal pressed down to the floor, so I know it's as fast as it goes. If something don't blow, I'll be seeing you. If something don't blow, I'll be seeing you. If something don't blow, I'll be seeing you before daylight.
Hey, welcome back to Top Dog Coffee, Mad Max's Beer Garden. We got some more live music for you from Louie and Talia Ortega. I think you've been enjoying what you've been seeing, so I think they're going to blow us away with a couple more songs here. So let's give it up for Louie and Talia Ortega.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this next song we're going to do is it's a classic number which Talia's going to sing. We kind of do our treatment of it, and it also is going to be featured on the San Simeon Nights record that will be releasing this year, 2021. Woohoo! Here we go.
There's a house in New Orleans, and they call it the Rising Sun. And you know that it's been the ruin of many a poor boy and girl. That I'm one. My mother, she used to be a tailor, and she sewed my new blue jeans. And you know that my father, he was a gambling man down in New Orleans. Now the only thing that a gambler ever needs is a suitcase. And you know that man, he needs a trunk, because the only time that he Now, please, 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 darling children, not to do as I've done. And shun that house way down deep in my New Orleans, the one they call the rising sun. I've on foot and it's on the platform, while the other one, it's on the train, and I'm going down to New Orleans to wear my ball and chain. There's a house in New Orleans, and they call it the rising sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy and girl. And sweet God, that I'm one in the house of the rising sun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next song I'd like to do is, excuse me, I got to take a sip of this really good beer I got here at Top Dog Coffee.
That's right.
That got me a point.
Yeah. Plug.
Yeah. It's got raspberry in it. Yeah, it was a raspberry. It tastes so good.
Raspberry lager.
Mm.
Oh, it happened. I'm
Well,
sorry.
you just hopped right to it, didn't you?
No.
Yes, it's all about the fun. I'd like to thank Slow Talk and James Davis, and got guys out there, and I know they're going to have some other after we take off down the road. But this song is a title track off one of the CDs that I have. And you can always reach louieortega.com. If you can't see me live, you can take me home in a CD. It's louieortega.com. Here we go. As I drove away, you waved and blew a kiss goodbye. I saw you, dear, disappear in my mirror. I saw your hand slowly fall to the side. I saw your smile grow bright, then fade out of sight. And as I drove, I could still feel your arms hold me tight. It felt as though you are right here by my side. I turned my head to make sure with my own eyes, but it's just a window in some countryside. That I'm not losing my mind. I know I'm crazy for you. I go through this every time we part. If I can't hold you in my arms, the next best thing to do is to hold you in my heart. I said if I can't hold you in my to do is to hold you in my heart. Thank you all so much, Talia Ortega.
Thank you so much, Louie Ortega.
Hope you soon, live and in person. This is pretty close, though. Thank you, Top Dog.
Right on. Thank you. Thanks for coming back. Thank you, Louie and Talia Ortega. That was a great you did for us. We'd like to thank Top Dog Coffee and Rescue Coffee. We've got a deal for you to watch before we bring on the next guest, Dr. Leola Dublin, Mcmillan, and Mark Shafer. It's going to be a great show too. But check out this. Give us a little information about Rescue Me Coffee.
Slow Talk Live is brought to you in part by Top Dog Coffee Bar. Fresh, micro-roasted coffee every day because it matters. Check them out online at topdogcoffeebar.com or visit them at 857 Main Street, Morro Bay, California. Call them up at 805-772-9225. Open daily from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. Slow Talk Live is brought to you in part by Rescue Me Coffee Company. Rescue Me Coffee Company, coffee with a cause. Top Dog Coffee is excited to announce a new venture called Rescue Me Coffee Company. Rescue Me Coffee Company grew from the love of our own rescue dog, Mad Max, Defender of the Universe. With over 12 years of micro-roasting sustainably farmed coffees from around the world, we knew it was time to bring the two together and share them with everyone. Through our website, you can order a subscription of coffee to arrive at your door every month with free shipping. We donate 20% of every bag shipped to the organization of your choice. Start your subscription today and join us in making a difference in the lives of others. Rescue Me Coffee Company believes in being transparent in every sense of the term. Be it the farmer or sourcing, we ensure that you know everything about what's in your cup and how each purchase impacts the life of the farmers, the causes we support, and our goal to ensure we leave the world a better place. All of our coffee is single origin. Our coffee is direct trade and sustainably sourced. We partner with farms that only use organic farming practices to cultivate our superior coffees. Every shipment you receive will be roasted for perfection. The sugars caramelized just to the perfect sweet spot. With a percentage of every bag sold going to the cause of your choice, you make an impact with every purchase. Want to know more about the causes we support? Please visit newlifecanines.org and careforpaws.org. Who Patrick Beats is. Who's Mad Max?
Mad Max is, he's the CEO of Rescue Me Coffee.
Yeah.
And we rescued him here in front of the shop about 5 years ago.
Now the shop is the Morro Bay
Top Dog Coffee Bar.
Coffee Bar.
Yeah.
Rescue Me Coffee is something that's created as a result of him and his story.
Well, I had retired from the cookie crock, and I was out. I just felt if there was a good enough lease, why not? And I had an old car in the garage. It turned out a collector's car. And I said, well, let's put it on eBay Motors and see what happens. So I just had a small investment, and I said, well, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll go back and run another farm, right?
Yeah, that's right. Every single day, 10% off for all veterans. And just to clarify, that's just a regular ID, not a special military ID.
A regular
just bring in your
government
regular
issue
ID. Let us know that you're a veteran, and we'll be stoked to honor our 10% discount.
Welcome back to Slow Talk Live. I'm your host, James Davis, and we're broadcasting live streaming from Max Beer Garden at Top Dog Coffee in beautiful Morro Bay, California. And it's my pleasure to bring on a guest right now. I've got a person I've known for a long time and somebody I've just met. I've got Mark Shafer, and Mark is the Executive Director of United Cerebral Palsy and Ride on Transportation in San Luis Obispo. Mark brought UCP to San Luis, founded He has built the nonprofit organization into a $6 million community support business, providing support services for people with disability and transportation services. Mark continues to develop support services to facilitate full participation for children and adults with developmental disabilities in the SLO County area. Ride On is actively meeting transportation needs of seniors, veterans, low-income, and people with disabilities. Specialties include business development, transportation services, board development, marketing, purchasing, and business startup. Mark, welcome to Slow Talk.
All right, James, thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah, and I also have with me this afternoon somebody that I just met, Dr. Leola Dublin Mcmillan. Welcome, Doctor.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
And we've got a little bit of an introduction here. Dr. Mcmillan, culture and studies from University. Her scholarly production includes work on adolescent identity development in marginalized girls, the representation of women and girls in America visual culture, and how differences in race, class, gender, sexual orientation, disability is understood in UX contexts. Dr. Mcmillan serves on the board of Just Community Central Coast and is on the committee of San Luis Obispo County, is a member of the SLO Police Department, Police and Community Together PAC community group. Also taught as a lecturer at Cal Poly for the Ethnic Studies and Women and Gender Department. Dr. Mcmillan currently works as a consultant, providing diversity training, grant writing, strategic planning, editorial for her client. She also serves as the executive director of United Way of San Luis. Oh, no. Dr. Mcmillan, what do you do with United Way?
I really hope my boss isn't listening.
All right.
Because he's the real executive director. And I'll apologize for, number one, the length of that intro, and also for not having it fully stated. So what I do for SLO County, I am the Director of Resource Development. I am also the director of all of their equity initiatives. So I oversee everything that comes out of our United Way that has anything to do with equity, diversity, and inclusion. And I also make my rounds throughout the community, encouraging people to give.
Thank you so much for that clarification. It's really good to have both of you today. Today is a unique time in American history. Yesterday was Dr. Martin Luther King's, the celebration for his birthday. And he would have been 91 or 92. I think I'm real close there.
I don't know.
Right there. And what a unique time in American history to celebrate his birthday, to consider his impact and the impact that it's had on America and where we're at right now. And the topic of today's discussion is unified diversity. Working together to achieve diversity in America. And I want to touch on that. And we had some interesting, conversations before we started, but where do we start?
It's exciting that we have an opportunity to move forward with some hope with a new administration. And it's a time to us need where we're at, diverse groups, people with disabilities or different race or different age, and really get in touch with some of our biases that have been learned over time, and Because I think it's really easy to think that everybody else needs to change about race, and aren't a racist, but you cannot help but have bias that are unconscious, that have been programmed into your brain over your entire life. And
now, both your organizations, United Way, represented here, and United our county, our region, working with people with diverse backgrounds. It's the work you do every day. You're where that's been heightened awareness. It really puts an urgency on these issues. These are important issues. Not
I really think that we can expect the diverse populations to make all of the changes. That really, for us to be the America that we want to be, we got to be people as they are, accept who they are, not expect them to change to be like the dominant culture. And that's what I've been involved with my project, is as a white dominant American to trying to touch how my upbringing is very different, how I think, than other guys. That the different really
racial issues have been pushed to the forefront. There's been a lot of discussion, a lot of focus in the news media, social media. Dr. Leola, in the impact of United Way in our community, you mentioned that your actual role with the organization has been expanded recently in the last 12 months?
Yeah.
How did that, was the impetus for that?
So, way of my presence, join their staff, and I came on as a resource development specialist. But that was still the year that I was riding high on my Congressional Woman of the Year award.
Congratulations.
And I know, it's kind of a big deal. And so I was really gung-ho about bringing all of my background and experience in equity, diversity, and inclusion to bear on the work of United Way, because it's a reason it would be a great fit. We focus on starting the future community, so focusing on education and health and financial stability, and all of this, if all of them to structural inequality. And so when I showed up, I was like, hey, I can do these. And I was like, well, not yet. And then the murder of George Floyd happened, and it seemed like time to accept the connection between the work that we do in our community, but around the world as United Ways, and the dismantling of structural inequality, specifically racial inequality. And so I developed a 2-year framework of community, monthly radio show, all kinds of stuff, and said we need to, not only because of COVID, but because this is the forefront of our conversations as a nation now. And if we are who we say we are in the community, we need to demonstrate to everyone in our community what we're about. And what we're about, what Mark calls unified diversity. I take a page from Dr. King, and I refer to it as building the beloved community.
Building the beloved community. The vision, but the work that's required to meet that vision. Everybody talks vision. What about the nitty-gritty work to make that vision come about? That's what we're talking about today. Yeah. Before we get into that, I want to bring on the coffee that you ordered from Top Dog Coffee Bar.
Shout out to Emily. Thanks, Emily. You're my favorite.
Thank you.
And thank you,
James Gallardo.
Oh, yeah. James Gallardo.
Thanks, yeah. Sorry. We've got such a great team here helping us out. But so that opened the door for what you brought to the table for you to be able to use those giftings. What's the last 12 months been like?
Not boring.
Okay.
And actually really exciting. I told my bosses, I waited. I at any new job, I sit back and observe for the first 100 days, right? So I can get a feel for the culture, where I can be of, the most help. And so on day 101, I was like, hey, I can do these things. And it was really great because I'm able to use a bunch of really disparate skills and bring a whole bunch of different skill sets together, right? So I've got grant writing experience, which is fantastic because we're doing advocacy work, but also because I'm writing grants to fund projects. I've got teaching experience and both community-based education, elementary education, higher ed. And so being able to lead workshops and things is fantastic. And this is a job that just really allows me to do the work that I love and serve the community that I was in and see results. You don't always get to see results. And it's really, particularly with something that's so daunting as racism, it's nice to see results.
And in terms of grants, the city of San Luis Obispo has just started an initiative, a diversity initiative, and they've actually announced they had a coalition of community members that were selected, and they decided that part of the initiative would include grants that'll be available that will focus on diversity right here in our community.
Correct. They've already given out the first round. They had $160,000 to distribute, and they invited nonprofits from the community to apply. Sadly, and surprisingly, United Way of San Luis Obispo County did not receive any funding.
In that first cut.
Yeah, which is curious because, right now, the city of SLO has a resolution recognizing structural racism as a public health crisis. Mm-hmm. That's me. That's my work. And so I'm demonstrably doing this work and have been for over a decade. But we are exploring other funding options.
And it's an interesting time because right now, United, of course, is a community clearinghouse for resources to be able to bring in finances, volunteers. And yet in the middle of that, there's some structural concerns or issues that also need to be addressed at the same time. So you're not going to give up on that grant-seeking opportunity for United Way.
The ones that I like to apply are the bigger ones that partner multiple organizations and net a significant amount of money. So right now, we've applied for one from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, and I think that's maybe $250,000. And so I'm really excited about just other opportunities that come along. Fortunately, as I can do a decent amount of the work, we are able to proceed without having grant funding for a number of things. One of the we are going to begin rolling out is a workshop that I did in the community as a consultant called Putting in the Work. And we talked about if you really want to, you actually have to work. You can't just say,
roll up the sleeves.
You can't just buy a T-shirt. You can't just vote. You have to put in the work, and that is internal.
Engagement, boots on the ground, but first take a look at yourself. So I want to talk a little bit about working with Mark Shafer. United Cerebral Palsy is one of the large, and Right on Transportation, one of the large nonprofits in our community, very actively engaged in transportation facilitation issues. How did you two and begin talking about unified diversity? I'm very curious.
So I've developed the concept of unified diversity because I believe that each of us as an individual, really the solution is about what is our diversity profile, who are we, and then also how do we view other people, and do we want to hang on to those biases or do we want to change them so we're more comfortable interacting with people that are different than we are. And the big challenge is a lot of times trying to do the changes as a whole. It's easy to say, you need to change, James. I'm fine. I don't need to change. I'm good. But the reality is, all of us, it's a natural thing to have biases. The way our brain works, we categorize all the information we get and apply it to thoughts we've had in the past. And so that very much leads us towards developing stereotypes in our brains. And these are thoughts that aren't even at your conscious level. They've been programmed deep in, but you can change them. And that's one of the things that unified diversity is about. Your own privacy. Let's go on a journey and have you discover, what are your biases, what are your background, celebrate your own culture, but celebrate everybody else's culture, and not be anxious when you meet somebody and not look at them because they're different. Engage with them, learn who they are, learn how they're different than you.
This is a bit fast, Mark. Because the last 12 months, the spotlight has really been focused upon race relations, racism, our own identity, but a lot of it has been in your face, in social media. What I'm hearing is a different 180-degree focus, an individual taking some time, rather than doing it with everybody's eyes on you, an individual taking some time to meditate, look at where they're at, right?
Well, that's right, because there's a lot of social impacts on the way we think and talk. The groups we hang out in, they're contributing to the thoughts. The TVs that we watch for our news, those are all impacting our thoughts towards diversity and how we treat other people. So by having a journey on your own, you actually get in touch and decide which one of your biases you want to hang on to and which one you think are outdated, and your critical thinking goes, that really, the information does not, fit that. So Dr. Mcmillan, when I shared this idea, she has so much information. And again, on my own personal journey, in touch with, I grew up in a very privileged environment in Greenwich, Connecticut. I knew I was going to college when I was 6 years old. I mean, both my parents graduated college. I never had a day where I worried about my next meal. And there's so many people out there that weren't that background.
Yeah.
And so I can't, interact with people from my background. I got to take the time and get to know them and relate to them from their background and where they're coming from.
So, Mark, did this focus come out of, is this a result of the last 12 months, the upheaval, all the focus on race relations, George Floyd case and multiple others? Personally, did this come out of that process for you?
Yeah. So throughout my life, I've been really interested in neurobiology and studying how the brain works and how we store thoughts and how the brain protects you. So it actually, when you see a person that's different from you can modify that. But if you don't, you're going to have those reactions. And then I also believe in cognitive behavior, where we can retrain our thoughts and replace thoughts. And within the brain, if you stop a thought, you stop using that neuron.
Yeah.
And you can replace the neuron by the ones you're actually repeating to yourself. And that's how you change thoughts.
And that's called cognitive behavioral development?
Well, it's the theory that you do have control over your thoughts, basically.
I think for me as an individual, I grew up in San Francisco, California. I'm a second generation. My mom and dad's parents both immigrated to the United States. And so I grew up with an immigrant family. But when I joined the Air Force, moved out of San Francisco, went to Texas, that was a culture shock for me. I mean, just in the United States, between one state, one city, a major metropolis area, the Bay Area, and then Wichita Falls, Texas, that was a major shock. I think my journey started right there, just realizing just the differences in our nation between one state or one city and another. And then, of course, Dr. Leola, I want to hear about your reactions when Mark approached you with what he was working on. And what was your reactions when he first came to you and mentioned what he individual?
Sure. And so Mark and I are both on the SLO VOAD, and that's actually how we met. And
let's tell our listeners what SLO VOAD is. Mark?
Volunteer organizations assisting disaster.
We don't know.
I always miss the A.
So we're kind of an ad hoc group of local organizations that recognize the very real likelihood perhaps a pandemic, and want to take the measures to be prepared to respond and meet the needs of the community, specifically the that we serve or the populations that we serve. And so Mark and I met there, and at my first meeting, I introduced myself, and my boss told me later, he said, "Hey, Mark Shafer, I want to talk to you about diversity stuff." And I was like, "Send him my way. I love it. I'll talk about diversity stuff with anyone, anytime." And now we probably don't go, 72 hours without having a call that's like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And idea tennis.
Idea tennis.
Yeah, because you're like, "Hey, I got this idea. What do you think? Oh, this is really good. Let me add on to it." We got some good volleys going on, I think.
Tennis with good volleys.
So I wanted to... It's really interesting because Mark shared his background, and you did as well. And one of the things that I think is so interesting about this country, a perfect example, we don't necessarily make the distinction between race and ethnicity. And that's actually kind of how I got started with my dissertation, because obviously I'm Black. If you can see me, you know that. But I didn't grow up in a traditional Black anything. My parents were Muslim. They were activists in North Carolina in college in the 60s. My dad taught physics at Washington University. My mom ran a daycare and learning center. We lived in an affluent white Jewish suburb of Washington, D.C. So all of the things that we are told in society, what it means to be Black, no familiarity with that, right? I grew up in a community where people walked to shul and we got every Jewish holiday off, right? Not a ton of, and we were Muslim, and we lived in a Jewish community. I had a very non-traditional upbringing and childhood, and even when I tell people, like, so you played ice hockey as a child. How was that for you?
They had to put their head around that because they're probably coming with a whole lot of preconceived.
It was very cold.
Yeah.
It was very cold. That's how. And so that's, it's one of the easy ways for you to just kind of take a step. The fancy word is epistemology, but how we know what we know, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of the discord that happens is because of this cognitive dissonance, right? When someone looks the way we have been told this person looks, they're supposed to behave this way.
Yeah.
And when they don't, there's cognitive dissonance, right? And inability and our discomfort actually with addressing that openly and honestly is where a lot of the difficulties come from.
We sometimes experience a struggle. We don't know what it is. We act out. It's like if you ever stub your toe. Everybody will immediately to this. You ever stub your toe on a bed frame? All you can do is run around grabbing that toe in pain. It's almost like a numbing moment, but sometimes the very similar behavioral experiences happen where we hit and we react instead of through. A lot of folks would look at me and think, my gosh, James Davis grew up in San Francisco. Maybe he had money for college, trust fund. The exact opposite. My dad worked 2 jobs because I grew up in a household where had some heart condition. Mom stay at home and just a lot of challenges where I actually went into the Air Force and earned money to go to college. And so we can make assumptions based on what people look like or where they came from that could be 180 degrees different than the reality. And that little bit of time is where it all happens inside of us.
The focus of my adolescent work stemmed from the realization that many people they're not given the right in our society to articulate their own identity. And so we make assumptions, and we usually don't go beyond race and gender about who someone is, right? You know nothing about them, right? People are like a mosaic. From a distance, you see one unified image, but up close, there's little individual constituent tiles that make up who people are. And so, yeah, I'm a black girl, but this piece is PhD. This piece is I speak Spanish. This piece is I've lived in Germany. This piece is I played ice hockey as a kid, right? You don't see those from far away. And until we allow ourselves, first of all, to be respectfully curious and not make assumptions.
I like that.
Right?
Respectfully
Curious. To ask someone about their childhood than to say, oh, when did you get to America?
Yeah.
Right? Like
what does that
at
mean?
birth, I don't know, conception, whatever. But lots of times people talk about, oh, we need to have a national conversation about race or mental health. The first national conversation we need to have is about shame.
Explain that.
I argue that the bulk of the friction that we see, specifically around things like race, comes from shame, right? We collectively, white America, we know, right? We might not know the extent of racism and structural inequality, but people know. You know when you're driving through a new town, which neighborhood is not the one that you want to be living in, right? Because you've been socialized to attribute certain qualities to neighborhood or to danger, right? But we don't like that because that makes it feel like we're bad people. It makes it feel like we're doing something. And so what I tell people, because Mark mentioned the resistance to folks saying, I'm not racist. Who cares? That's not the point. What are you doing to actively dismantle racism? That's the question we need to be asking. But people are so concerned about being blind or, having to acknowledge something that they didn't necessarily do, but they absolutely benefit from, right? Because that's how racism works. I'm pretty sure you didn't invent racism, James. But you're good looking like us, so I know you move through the world with compared to, I don't know, me. I don't know, I'm cuter though, so maybe not. But all of us have privilege, right?
And the point is the assumptions that we make.
Yeah.
That's the bias.
Mm-hmm.
And just many times unconscious.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
Let me share though. When I was a kid, I used to go in New York City on the train, and I'd go through Harlem, and
Not me.
it's like we were taught, you never walk through Harlem as a white person. You'd be asking for trouble to do that, and so at a very early age, fear was instilled and associated
with that location
with black people in a poverty situation. And so that bias is totally unfair. And so I can either hang on to that or I can decide, wait a minute, that's nothing to fear there. There's just people that somebody told me that, and it's not true. And so I'm going to work on letting that go. I don't believe it. And by doing that, then it allows me, when I react somebody that's different from me, to engage in that conversation and get to know them, because I've left my fear behind.
And it's awareness that you have that you didn't have previous. It's a growing awareness. And you're mentioning that, acknowledging that growing awareness.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the other thing is, in my research that I've done, the history classes I took in high school did not tell me how bad it was. It is unbelievable, the history of folks treated in the United States. I think if everybody knew the story, there'd be a lot more shame.
I shouldn't, as an American, we should not have to wait to watch 60 Minutes to learn what happened in Oklahoma. What's the name of that black city in Oklahoma, that town that was a
are you talking about
Black Wall Street? There you go.
Yeah.
And I just saw that in 60 Minutes about 9 months ago. I had heard bits of that, had never encountered that story in completion until that time came on. I thought, wait a minute, I'm down the road here a little.
Yeah.
That was not included, and that's a significant piece of something that happened in our journey as Americans.
And it happened because those black people were so successful. Well, we can't have that. And so they went in and burned the whole thing to the ground just because, wait, they can't be better than me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know,
Where'd that reaction come from? That's a pretty ugly piece of American history.
Yeah.
But folks should look at that. You know, we've the privilege now of Googling stuff in real time. That's what's cool about live streaming. Folks that are actually watching this on their phone can Google what happened there with Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah. To make a point just a second
and
ago.
I always take notes
Yeah.
because I forget things. But I'm really happy to hear you mention Black Wall Street, because that's yet another example of why people say that racism is structural, right? There's not a single area of our society that isn't touched by racism. Why do you think you didn't get a complete history lesson? Because our education is part of the structure of the country. And if we're going to uphold whiteness as the goal and the ideal and the best, we have to make sure everything we teach our children supports that, right? My mom teaches in Washington, D.C. right now, 5th grade in the inner city. And I remember 2 or 3 years ago, she called me livid because the new social studies text that the district bought represented the transatlantic slave trade as a cultural exchange.
I think it's a good time to take a break. That we're going to run for our listeners at home, get a chance to grab a little water and coffee, and then come back for our last 15 minutes. This interview,
Perfect.
This has been really, really good. Stick with us. We're here at Slow Talk Live streaming. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Thanks.
Tribute and bringing awareness to the United Cerebral Palsy organization that is here in town. And these next 2 tunes we want to dedicate to their cause and to what they've got going on over there. It's a great, great group of folks that have also helped sponsor this event. And if you could, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you guys to please sing along with this next tune. It is a old rock and roll classic, and it just does not get old.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brains. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, but what a thrill. To the discouraged grip balls of fire. I left you love because I thought it was funny. You came along and you wooed me, honey. In my mind, this love is fine. I said it to the discouraged grip balls of fire. Kiss me, baby. Woo, feels good. Hold me, baby. Wanna love it like a lover should. You'll find so kind. Gotta tell this world that you're mine, 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 mine. I chew my nails and I twiddle my thumbs. I'm real brothers gonna show is fun. Come on, baby, drive me crazy. But goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Baby, woo, feels good. Hold me, baby. Well, wanna love you like a lover should. You'll find so kind. Gotta tell this world that you're mine, 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 mine. Chew my nails, twiddle my thumbs. Real nervous, but it sure is fun. Come on, baby, drive me crazy. In this crazy, great balls of fire. Give it up for him now. Raise your great balls of fire. Johnny, be good. Deep down in Louisiana, close to New Orleans, way back up in the woods among the Evergreens, is through the log cabin made of earth and wood. Well, lived a country boy named Johnny B. Good. He never really learned to read or write so well, but he could play the guitar just like a drumming to the rhythm that the tribe was made. People passing by, they would stop and say, oh my, that the little country boy can play. Go, go, go Johnny, go, go, go Johnny, go, go, go Johnny, go, 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 go Johnny, go, go, go. Johnny be good. Break it down one time, boys. Well, his mother told him someday he would be a man, or maybe be the leader of a big old band. People just coming from miles around to hear you play the music when the sun goes down. Maybe someday your name will be in lights singing Johnny be good tonight. Sing with me now. Go, go Johnny, go, go, go Johnny, go, 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 go Johnny, go, 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 go Johnny, go, 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 Johnny be good.
Welcome back to Slow Talk Live. I'm your host, James Davis, and we are here at Top Dog Coffee in beautiful Morro Bay, California. Check them out online, topdogcoffeebar.com. I'll get that right. Give me a little practice,
Look
folks.
at him, he's sauced.
But I've got right here with me at the beer garden, we've got Mark Shafer and Dr. Leola Dublin Mcmillan.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Mcmillan. Yeah. All
You just
right.
call me
All
Doc.
right. But I didn't get that tongue twisted. I got
No,
it right, and I
got it
spelled
great.
it right. So, you know what? We were talking about our experiences, things we went through. And you mentioned during our break, Dr. Mcmillan, coming to SLO County, husband, even renting a car. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
We actually got married here in 2010 in SLO County, and very quickly learned that it would be in our best interest to keep a certified copy of our marriage license on us, because we would do things like go rent a car.
Now, that sounds a little strange, to keep a certified copy. Most folks don't do that, right?
Most folks don't get receipts either, but, you know, a receipt could save your life. That's a timestamp, right? These are the things that you think about when you are Black in America, right? How can I protect myself? How can I be safe? And so we would try to rent a car, and there's an additional driver fee, but they waive it if it's a spouse. And so we would say, oh no, we're married, and repeatedly at multiple establishments in San Luis Obispo. Well, do you have any proof of that? We'll need to see. We were like, yeah, we're 2 PhDs, dummy. Of course, we know the drill. But again, it's 2010.
Yeah.
And
you know, there's other examples of that, like somebody will be in a store and they're Black. The merchant's following them around because in their minds they're going, oh, this guy's going to shoplift something, or this person, just because of their race.
Or showing goods, assuming that maybe the Black person can't afford the top shelf items, and you don't even show them. I've had situations that have been brought to my attention where somebody did that and was totally unconscious. They were just showing them lower priced items, making assumptions that they really can't afford that, which is something to look at. You know, why do you do what you do?
Yeah, I mean, like an employer that's going through resumes may go by the first names on the resume, and if you're a Jamal, the 6 seconds that they look at your resume, forget it. But if it was Jack, they would look at the resume.
Different reaction based upon their internal biases or prejudice.
And that's why, you know, with university, we've got to become aware that's what our minds do, and we need to correct that each individually to end systemic racism, because it affects the policemen, it affects the judges, the educators. You know, there's a great program, Innocent Classroom, that's teaching educators to look at every child and look for the good in them.
It's called the Innocent
Classroom. Yeah. And the idea is, don't look at them based on their race or anything like that and judge that, well, they're not going to be successful. Look at every child and look for the good in them and develop that relationship, because that's what makes learning happen for that child.
Sounds like they've been reading my research. That sounds an awful lot like the Mosaic model.
Dr. Mcmillan, on one of the breaks before we started the stream, we talked a little bit about the melting pot concept.
Yes.
And I want to delve into that,
Sure.
what that means, how that's used, and is there some reality with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I do want to circle back to just really quickly about neuroplasticity and the biases that we have and that we carry. In advertising, there is a magic number. It varies. I like to stick with 13, but advertisers know that if you expose a potential customer to a particular image or message for X number of times, then the association will be made, right? And so that's why if you walk into a room and say, ba-da-ba-ba-ba, like people know that's McDonald's. I'm loving it, right? Or
Bada, 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 bing. That's Seinfeld.
Right. Chock full of nuts is that heavenly coffee, whatever.
Yeah.
Because we've been exposed to those messages
Yeah.
far more than 13 times. So if you think about the way, and this is, again, why it's structural, if you think about the way marginalized people, and it could be people with disabilities, it could be people of different races, it could be immigrants. If you think about the way that they are portrayed in our society and the messaging that happens on a societal level, we're exposed to that far more than 13 times, right? So of course, the first time I went to Amsterdam, I nearly had a heart attack in a street at night. It felt like an alley because everything's tiny in Amsterdam. But I walked out of a restaurant and there were 6 black guys in the dark in an alley speaking a language that I didn't know. And I was like, oh, something terrible is happening. It wasn't. They were Dutch. They were talking about a soccer match. But
that was your reaction
That's
based on
my
what was
reaction.
inside of you.
Right. And I have black brothers.
Yeah.
Right. I've been around black men my whole life. I shouldn't feel afraid, but right. And this is where that instinctive reaction happens, right? Because I'm in a foreign situation. And so I'm not stopping to consider. My brain is just reacting. And my brain says, it is dark. This is an alley. There are black men. You cannot understand what they are saying. Therefore, you are in danger.
Did you have the privilege or the benefit of having parents that helped you in this process as you were growing up, Dr. Leola?
Yeah. I mean, my parents were activists and they were academics. So I don't know if it was a privilege. I certainly could have had a happier, more normal childhood with other parents.
Well, I'm just wondering because you talked about the self-realization in that moment or shortly thereafter. To me, that's the thing individually. Are we conscious and aware? You know, we've talked a lot about mindfulness. Well, let's apply that to race. Let's apply that to biases.
Right.
Mindfulness, you know, I'm a lot more comfortable in that setting than 900 people looking down on me having to be in a spotlight. So you're talking about a different type of internal focus rather than for social media, Facebook. You're talking about an individual process. Where can folks go? Can folks go anywhere right now to get some more information? I want to give some resources to our listeners.
Sure. United Way of SLO County has a brand spanking new website. We just redid our website. But we have our EDI page, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion page. Lots of resources there. Our 21-day challenge is there. We'll be uploading a list of the events that we're going to be doing. And you can always call. I'm very easy to find in this town. And so you can always go there. But there's so many podcasts. There's so many resources that are available if people are, again, respectfully curious. Lots of information to find out.
And Mark, your website, ucpofslo.org.
Yeah, well, we're Unified Diversity. Right now, we're building the tools to help individuals go through this journey and become more aware of themselves and their bias. And so we have a website that will be up very soon, next couple of days, unifieddiversity.us. And so people will be able to go there and you can leave us your email and then we'll get you information. But the idea is, again, it's a private, personal journey that you'll be able to go through that, again, we're not trying to change the way you think. We're just letting you be more aware of your biases. And then also just feeling comfortable. I mean, it's so fun to let those biases down and actually meet some people that are different from you. It's a great thing. People should try it. And that's kind of what Unified Diversity is all about. The other big thing is, we got to realize we're not competing against each other, different groups. We're not fighting for jobs. When we all are successful, America is successful.
Yes,
and
yes.
so that's a thought that keeps getting drilled into our brains that, these people are going to take your job. Okay, that's the first bias you need to work on, and you need to just get rid of it and go, we need more people to make our economy run. And you look at how many immigrants have contributed to major new industries in our country. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
So we need to embrace immigrants.
And I'm reminded the good book says a house divided against itself shall not stand. And our strengths is when we work together. So hopefully the purpose of this is to really draw us together. And I read those words, and in my lifetime, I want to see a more perfect union. We've got a ways to go, and I'm grateful for people like Dr. Martin Luther King, who we celebrated his birthday as a national holiday yesterday, and his legacy is still with us. And the potential impact is still possible in America, and I'm very appreciative that we're drawing the light on those subjects. But more of a process of internal understanding, more of a process of each person taking time to realize where we're at.
Well, and that's just one tool. There's so many tools in the toolbox. That's why Dr. Mcmillan, it's just the information that she has. United Way did this 21-day
equity challenge
that was awesome, just as far as bringing reality to allow you to go, wow, I didn't know that. And that's the first step of testing your biases. And again, don't get defensive. It's all like part of your personal growth. The only way we can grow is to take an honest look at ourselves. And with plasticity of the brain, if you want to change, you can change.
That's a fascinating thing. And they're realizing this isn't just 5-10 years old. This is all the way through life. They realize now that the brain can actually adapt, change, and develop new brain cells. It's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And Mark, there's some discussion about an app for the phones that you're talking about.
Yeah, so we want to make it a kind of a personal classroom thing, step by step, that you go through that. So the best way to do that is technology, because then people can do it when it's convenient for them. Mm-hmm. And those are the tools that we're working together to develop right now.
We're in the R&D stage.
R&D stage, I like that.
No prototype as of yet.
The door is still closed.
Yeah, the prototype's getting close.
But we're talking about doing a podcast series too, and putting this out where people can listen to it on a regular basis, episodes and different segments of this.
Yeah, and what I'll say is, as part of that equity, diversity, and inclusion framework that I talked about, we have a radio station down in Grover Beach, and so we're doing monthly radio shows and recording them and making them available via YouTube.
Nice.
So yeah.
A lot of resources. So folks, once again, UCPSLO.org, Right on Transportation SLO.
And UnitedWaySLO.org.
UnitedWaySLO.org. We are so grateful to be able to go over these issues and talk about this.
Anytime.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, I think, is the beginning of a new chapter, and hopefully individuals will say, hey, what can I do as far as improving the diversity, togetherness that we have? Because it really does benefit all of us, including each of us individually.
America is not us and them. America is us. Mm-hmm. America is not us and them. America is us.
We're getting there. We're building a critical mass. That's what I'll say, right?
Yeah,
we're not at melting pot, but we're building a critical mass and approaching gumbo.
I like that. We talked a little bit about that, about the distinction between just a melting pot and something where you can identify all the parts.
Yeah.
Right.
Guys, this has been really, really good. I'm looking forward to having you back as our guest once this goes down the road a little bit and rolls out.
Sure.
Thank you so much for your input, and thank you for your work in our community to make this a better community for everybody.
Sure. And if folks are interested in having, evaluations or workshops or trainings or online community conversations, we can do that. We've done it, and I'd be happy to do that for you.
So our guest once again, Mark Shafer, Executive Director, UCP, San Luis Obispo, and Right on Transportation, and Dr. Mcmillan.
From the United Way.
United Way and Resource Development, right?
And Equity and Diversity Inclusion.
Thank you so much.
It's a lot, sorry.
And once again, this is Slow Talk Live. We're so grateful for our sponsors and our support. And we'll be back with you again in 2 more weeks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, James.
Thanks.